All right, we are live. Welcome everyone to another edition of Deconversion Stories. And yes, I know I'm actually on time for a change, which is weird, but that's the life of a rock star, anyways. Never on time, anyway. So. But yeah, so today I'm chatting with my friend Marie Delafont, who has a great website, by the way, and also she's the host of a podcast called Everyone's Autonomous, and I have links to all of that down below. So I highly recommend that you go and check it out. I was actually listening to one a little bit earlier before, while I was setting up this chat and stuff.
Ooh, which one?
Your episode 17, I guess the latest one on
Abigail.
Yeah, Abigail. That's the one. Yeah,
that's a good one. My monologue was pretty great.
Yeah, she swears a lot.
She does. Some listeners do a drinking game, and they're they're drunk within the first 5 minutes.
Oh, geez. Well, I'll be drunk in no time.
Yeah. That's why I didn't bring drinks.
Oh, okay. You're perfectly entitled to do so. You know that, right?
I may be like 45 minutes in, but I need to be coherent for a little while.
Oh, okay. Well, there's always the after party, right? So
I'll bring pot.
Ooh. So we now in Canada, this legal. We got all these neat little containers that you can buy your doobies.
Wow, that looks so professional.
I know, and they even have the little government fucking stamp on it, so you know that it's government issued.
You guys, we've been looking down at Canadians for a long ass time.
Until now?
Until like the last 4 years, I think it's been like, oh shit, no, they're like way ahead of us. We are the fucked up ones. Hail Canada.
Hail Canada. Oh, wait, no, that's Blame Canada. Sorry, wrong
Blame
song.
Canada.
Like a brilliant tune.
Blame Canada.
With their hockey hullabaloo and that bitch Anne Murray too. Blame Canada.
It's the only road.
Yeah. We're all going to meet at the Tree in Edmonton. South Park fucking rules. Anyways, Marie, first of all, Marie was the go-to for me, like the go-between two kind of person that I had to talk to get Dave on the show, which was fantastic. How did that? Let's start. I'm gonna start with that. How did you get involved with Dave and becoming sort of his, I guess, manager? We'll say. Total hockey talk here, but manager.
Definitely manager. Definitely not assistant. I'm much more involved. He needs a manager, not an assistant.
Kind of needs managing anyways, doesn't he?
He's kind of that guy, but I love him. So like to explain how I got involved with Dave, I do have to go a little bit further back and just quickly say that the podcast Everyone's Agnostic started in 2015 by Cass Midgley, and then his co-host, Bob Pondillo, ended up shuffling off of the show in 2018. And so then I joined the show as a co-host. And through that podcast, I ended up meeting Dave Warnock at an Everyone's Agnostic retreat in Tennessee in 2018, I think. And so, because
is that one of Marlene's retreats?
No, this is just it was a podcast retreat hosted by the people that listen to the podcast. That's it. It was very simple, no agenda, nothing. Yeah, just chance to get to know each other. And that's where I met Dave, because he's like best friends with Cass Midgley, and he's actually even living there on and off. It's Dave is living at Cass's house in Nashville. So that's how I met Dave. Didn't think much of him at first. Was like, okay, he likes to hug people. That's nice. Yeah. And I was really stressed traveling and stuff, so I didn't really pay much attention anyway. But then in March of last year, as now everyone knows, Dave was diagnosed with ALS, or February actually. And I was planning to come down to Nashville in March to hang out with Cass and talk about the podcast and just kind of like work on our rapport and just hang out. Like, why not? And but like a week before I went down there, Dave announced on our Facebook group, like, fuck me, I have ALS and I'm going to die from this. And I was like, okay, this sucks. And I'm just about to fly down to Nashville. And so here I am going to show up in this community of these secular Nashvillians, and everyone is mourning what Dave is going through. And I'm just like, I'm visiting. So I felt really awkward, and I was really nervous about going down to Nashville and hanging out because I didn't want to center on me, but as a guest, things kind of start centering on you. And so I was like, how do I do this? And I'm terrified, or at least I have been very terrified of death. It's something that I've held on to. I don't know if I've actively held on to it, but it's a trauma that I hold inside of me, left over from denying death through Christianity for so long and being part of a culture that doesn't embrace death either. And so when I came across Dave, I was like, my shit's coming up. I can feel my shit coming up. And I was so scared about, like, how do I interact with him? How do you talk to someone who found out that they're going to die? And so I ended up just deciding, okay, well, I'm super into autonomy, so I'm just going to watch and see how he's leading, like how he's engaging and talking about what he's going through. And I'm just going to follow his lead. And I quickly found that he's joking about it. He is kind of pretty sober about it. He's positive about it. Like, he's trying to make the most of his life. And I noticed that, and I was first of all, I was very happy that we could make jokes about death. I've never had more fun making jokes about death. And he's a safe person to do it with. And so we have fun. And so I was really inspired by the way he was dealing with it. And at the time I was pretty embedded into the podcast community. And I was like, dude, you need to run the circuit. You need to talk about this. You have something powerful to say. And the way that you're saying this, I think, is going to really impact a lot of people. So I encouraged him to do it. And he's like, okay, yeah, okay. He was just kind of patronizing me at the time. And I was like, so that's when I started reaching out to all the different podcasters that I'd connected with over the last year of being on Everyone's Agnostic. And Ryan Bell was the first one that accepted our self-invitation and had Dave on his podcast, Life After God. And so from there, classic celebrity story arc. You know how it goes when you're dying and famous.
Yeah.
So that's
he's been everywhere.
He's been everywhere, man. He's been everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a commercial in there somewhere, I think.
No, it's a song.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. But the commercial uses that song. The one I'm thinking of, anyways.
Of course. It's probably about a car.
No, it's trucking. Fan cam. Trucking. We go everywhere, man. Anyway, so yeah. Yeah, so it's one of those sort of things.
Gotcha. So that's how I met Dave, and that's how I got involved. And and that's changed my life.
I bet.
It's almost speechless. I feel speechless when I try to think of how this has changed my life. Yeah. Funny thing is, I wouldn't do what Dave does, but I just go ahead and keep promoting that.
Yeah.
I know him well enough to know I wouldn't do what Dave does, but everyone else, you can go ahead. You can go ahead and interpret that however you want. But the real people who know Dave know that they're not going to do what Dave does.
Right. Pardon me. I was going to meet him here in April when he was up here for the religious trauma. I'm in Vancouver, right?
Oh, right. I was going to be there too, dude.
Yeah, I would have met you too.
Yeah, if it gets rescheduled, though, I mean, hopefully Janice can pull it off. We'll see.
Well, you know the story behind that
as well
as I do.
Yeah, she's fucked.
Yeah, what a piece of shit.
Yep.
That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know, she was pretty much screwed over by her ex. So, yeah.
Her ex basically stole all the conference money from her.
Yeah, pretty much. I think she's still working on some legal aspects of it now. I haven't spoken to Janice in a while, but I'll get on to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
I offered to volunteer.
Like the rest of us.
Well, I volunteered to come and help and everything, right? She's like,
you?
Oh, yeah, that would be great. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And it would have been a really good time. Like, I personally, myself, I've never really gone through anything religiously traumatic because my family was fairly secular. We went and observed the major holidays kind of things, and that's about it. I had a bar mitzvah, that's the kind of thing, right? So
you did?
Yeah, I was raised Jewish. I was actually
there it is. Okay, got it.
Born to Christians, right? but they were too young. They were young. And my father's mom is very staunch Catholic, and that's just a big no-no. So they put me up for adoption, and I was raised by Jews. So I was raised Jewish. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I'm one of those examples you guys can use that religion's bullshit. Why would a Christian God allow a kid to be raised by Jewish people? But of course, the Jews are the chosen people. So,
mysterious ways, Neil.
Yeah, sure, he does. Yeah, it's so mysterious that nobody knows he's fucking around.
Yes.
If he was real, folks, he wouldn't need anyone to argue his existence.
This is true. This is true.
Anyways, what I usually do here is I talk to people, obviously, about deconversions. And we'll talk a little bit also, I think, about your podcast too, because as I was saying, I was listening to episode 17, and I've perused a couple of the other episodes previously, and I just like the way you're never at a loss for words. It seems when you're doing this show. So it's awesome to hear. And but we're going to talk right now, I think, about how you found your way out of your faith belief, whatever it may have been at the time, and what led you to becoming this atheist activist. Let me rephrase that. Amazing atheist activist that you are today.
Thank you.
I promise I'll be quiet unless I have something dumb to say.
Please, no, I don't care. This is a conversation. No, you don't have to do that. Yeah, or just keep drinking. Whatever, that's fine.
All right, if you insist. I got my cooler right here, so.
Damn it! I was thinking about bringing a drink upstairs, and then I was just like, maybe not. And now I'm regretting it so much, but that's fine.
There's always the after party. I told you.
Okay. I'll get drunk.
Spill, Neil.
I'll get drunk then.
I'm always drunk. I'm a functioning alcoholic.
I'm not even keeping an eye on the comments. I hope that nobody's saying anything important.
Oh, you can actually see it right to your right if you look up where it says. You can
see live comments. Yeah. Hey, neat. Hello, internet.
Weird technology.
Neato. I should have known this the whole time, but
I should have told you. So that's my fault. My bad. My bad. You're gonna next time when we finally meet up, you can give me one of these, you bastard.
I'm not that aggressive, but yeah.
Okay, well, you have my permission.
Okay, well, appreciate the consent, the proactive consent giving.
You're gonna regret that, punk.
So yes, so you want me to tell you a story?
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time, there was a lot of apes. They didn't die, and so I was born, and that's called evolution. So I've been doing podcasting so much now that I'm out of the habit of telling my story. So it's almost like an effort to do so. That's fun. Now I can see the comments, and Be Mindful is saying hello to me. Thank you. This is so distracting now, but I like it. It's good.
It's okay.
Yeah. Well, hello, everyone.
They're always allowed to be a part of the conversation. Anyway.
Yeah.
I always encourage them, if they have questions for you, they can pop them in there. And now you'll see them.
Yeah, that's why I want to see that, so that we don't miss any related questions and stuff. But anywho, so I'll focus now. Actually, I'm going to just not even look at them because they're really distracting. So I'll come back to them. But if I'm going to tell my story, I have to focus. So I'm 38. I live in Minnesota. I've spent most of my life here. I was born in an evangelical Protestant type family. It's very Midwestern style. And so I'm not going to church and being told that I'm going to die or burn in hell. It's not heavy fire and brimstone, but it's that if you masturbate, God doesn't like it, eh? It's much more passive aggressive, and in that way, it's almost more manipulative because it's not as overt. And so that's the kind of Christianity that neat. Thank you for the money that you gave to Neil. I'll take some too if you want.
I gotta talk to YouTube because apparently my account is I have what do you call it, the AdSense account on one YouTube channel, and now I want it on this one because I don't really use the other one. So I got to call them because they're saying you already have an account. I go, no, I canceled that one and started this one. And then they have no idea what's going on. Yeah, so do something. I got to give them a call.
Fucking YouTube.
There's like $240 waiting for me. So
that's important.
Right?
You know how much candy you could buy with that?
I was thinking a new tire, but okay, sure.
I don't like eating tires, but whatever.
Well, there's that, I suppose. If the coffee's hot enough and you dunk it in there like a giant donut, maybe you can get away.
Is this why you promised me that you wouldn't talk in the middle of my story? Do you have a reputation for getting off track?
All the time.
I can deal with that. I can totally deal with that. No.
Carry on.
It's all good. It's all good. So yeah. I grew up in that. I drank the Kool-Aid hardcore. In fact, I became even more galvanized about it than my parents were. And so a lot of the impact and trauma that I have isn't necessarily from my parents directly, but from the church that I involved myself in. And so I grew up, I remember nights struggling to fall asleep because I kept on thinking of the word fuck and would freak out and apologize and pray to God to forgive my sins because I was afraid. I had internalized that if you don't ask for forgiveness for all of your sins before you die, you're going to hell.
Right.
And so I remember many nights internalizing that and asking for forgiveness upon forgiveness upon forgiveness of this elephant in my head that I'm not supposed to think of, but I keep thinking of.
It's fucked.
Yeah.
Growing up Jewish, we never had the threat of hell.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so much better. Hell is a mind fuck, especially if you expose it to a child who is under the age of 8 or 9,
right?
Where they can think abstractly, because they're going to take all that shit literally.
Yeah.
So I drank it up, and in my religion, my manifestation of Christianity, critical thinking skills were not encouraged. It's like your critical thinking skills ends where it overlaps or like invades on our doctrine. That's when you stop thinking. But beyond that, you can get as educated as you want to. But as soon as you hit that wall and things don't align, that's you. You're wrong. The faith is solid. Right. And then on top of that, there was a lot of messages that I internalized from the religion, from the Bible, from culture at large. The 80s were not a good time for women. Let's be honest, they're still not super good. But I internalized a lot of toxic messages about my identity as a woman and needing to constantly be presenting for a man, like to sit straight, sit well, be attractive, wear makeup, be flirtatious, but not too flirtatious. And so you're trained to be this performing pony. And many of us women hold on to that internalized narrative of needing to perform well beyond leaving religion. And so I internalized that. I also grew up in the time where purity culture was extremely popular in church. And so I guzzled that, loved that shit because I was scared of boys and the idea of God being my man, like to hook me up. And so I wouldn't have to actually work through any of my interpersonal issues. Like some dude would just show up and naturally my idiosyncrasies would work with his idiosyncrasies. And I would never actually have to work on myself or how to relate to people. And so I loved purity culture because it was like a free pass to have to avoid ever having to engage with men, which has carried over into now. To be honest, it stunted me for sure. So that was my religious background. It was terrible and it got worse. In high school, when I was about 14 or so, I started questioning stuff. And like I said, they turn off your critical thinking skills and your trust in yourself. And so when I hear a lot of other deconversion stories, you've heard a lot of them, right, Neil? And some of them are like, I turned 13 and I started having doubts and I was like, this doesn't make sense. And so I just kind of gradually, fluttered away. But for me, it was like I started having doubts and then all of a sudden it's my problem. Like I internalized all that. I took all that shame. Plus, like, again, you add on that hell factor. Like if you don't deal with these doubts just right, you are going to experience conscious punishment endlessly. if you don't figure this out right. And that is a lot of fucking pressure. And you don't
Fuck
really,
yeah, it is.
yeah, and you don't really feel free to go and explore those, even though like I would tell Christians in my life and they'd be like, God's understanding. You can go ahead and explore those. And I'm like, is he though?
How do you know that?
I know. I'm like, because it feels like he wants to send me to hell if I don't believe exactly what I'm supposed to believe. So is he?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And so I didn't feel safe to lean into those doubts and to trust my intuition. And like I was insulated by Christian culture because I was going to church twice a week and my high school was Christian. And so anyone that I told, it was like nail biting. They're like, oh my God, Marie's soul's in danger. Oh, wee. And then they start like an email thread and they're like, okay, tell me one problem you have with the Bible and we'll hash it out. And like everyone wanted to like debate me on everything and not rudely, right? Like, but they were like, oh, okay, Marie's having a problem, like in other situations, like, oh, some family just had a new baby. Okay, everyone, let's get together and let's make some food. Let's drop off some food. We're going to coordinate like to help her out. Like it was the same way, except like, Marie's soul's in danger. Okay, everyone line up. We're going to help and make sure that she gets aligned again.
No food?
No food. No food. If anything,
so
I need a
baby
fast.
and they get food.
I know.
You're having an existential crisis and no food.
I know. I mean, like, it's no surprise that I like emotionally eat now, right? Like nobody gave me food when I was doubting.
You see, now if it was a Jewish family, there'd be food everywhere.
And you're allowed to say that.
Right. Well, it's true. It's true. They're like Italians, man. There's fucking food everywhere.
I don't know the culture very well. I'll have to trust you. So everyone loves food. So I started doubting when I was 13, but it was just like this roller coaster. Like I felt pulled towards, thinking critically about this stuff, but constantly gaslit and terrorized. The religion is mentally terrorizing people. Like when you indoctrinate yourself as a child, like you create these walls in your head that you can't leave without a lot of effort.
You didn't indoctrinate yourself.
Fair enough.
You were indoctrinated.
Yeah. Poor phrasing. Can't blame it on.
You just fell for it.
I mean, I was a child. Like,
exactly.
I didn't have any control over
that. Easy
that.
targets at that age, right?
Yeah. They thought that it was something important for me, and I disagree. I disagree now. And it is what it is now. But high school was really hard. Really, really fucking hard. And every time I talk about it, the stronger and healthier I get, and the more that I go back and go over that narrative of what life was like, the more I realize how terribly traumatic that experience really was. And it validates so much of what I'm experiencing now. And so high school was kind of like that. Like I was everyone's project. And my self-worth was whether I believed in God or not, and how much I trusted God, and how much I read the Bible, and if I was doing my daily devotional, and if I was making sure that my doubts stayed at bay. That was my worth in high school. It was terrible.
I always found that very strange, where they say, you weren't allowed to investigate your doubts, right? How weak is your belief system to not allow you to do something like that?
I mean, they call it the devil. Like they have all the apologetics. Of
course they do.
Figured out.
Let's not forget the 80s was literally, like Seth Anders says, the satanic panic.
Yeah.
Right? 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, and that's the shit that I grew up in. I loved that. I wish that my family was more extreme, because the more I doubted, the more I overcompensated to justify myself to God, because God is a narcissist. And so you're constantly trying to prove yourself to get his approval, because you think that you're crazy for not getting his approval, but he doesn't actually exist. But point being, those years were just really, really terrible for me. And I ended up, I was graduating high school and I thought I was the dumbest person in the world. That's not fair. I thought that I was not very intelligent and that I wouldn't be able to survive in college, and that there was no point in going to college because Jesus was coming back. And moreover, if Jesus is coming back, if Christianity is true, the highest and best thing that you can do with your life is to save people, which when I look back, I see how beautiful I was inside for making that a value based on what my belief system was at the time. I really wanted to help people. My belief system was wrong, but I wanted to help. I really thought people were going to die.
A humanist,
I was a humanist,
right?
In my own mind.
And you are beautiful, Marie. Don't let anyone tell you that. I
agree. I fucking agree.
And humble. I mean,
why would I need to be humble?
No, I'm kidding.
I mean, fuck that.
This is why we love you.
I'm not better than anyone else. Just because I praise how wonderful I am doesn't mean that you suck. That's your problem, you know?
I kind of do, but that's okay. It's a whole
Nah. We're all just fine. See, that's the only reason I like myself, because I know I'm fine. I know everyone else is fine.
I'm having Star Wars flashbacks. Sorry. We're fine. Everything's fine. How
is that a quote? I don't know.
From the movie.
Oh, I'm not super nerdy with Star Wars. I have other nerddoms.
I am. Sorry.
No, don't say sorry.
The nerdity kind of just pops up here and there. Every time I hear something, I go, oop, trigger, and then something happens, right?
That's fine. That's fine. So I didn't think I was qualified for college. I thought I was dumb, and I didn't see the point of it. I wanted to save people's souls, and I was having another faith crisis. The high school experience was just faith crisis after like, giving my heart to God again, raising my hands and having visions and stuff, and then doubting again a week later. Like, no wonder I'm fucked up right now. God.
Yeah, right.
And I'm not fucked up. I'm just beautifully trying to pick up a mess.
You thought you were because of the indoctrination bullshit.
Yeah. And so I decided that the best thing I could do was to do missions, because I felt like missions would be those people who are very serious about their faith, not these lukewarm people I was hanging out with. And that God would be there. Like, if God is anywhere, he would definitely show up in a place where people are going out and preaching his word unapologetically. So I was like, if there's a God, this is going to be where it's at. And so it was, I did missions to prove myself to God. I kind of said to him, like, dude, I'm super serious. Like,
what was that like? Going on like missions and stuff.
Terrible.
I talked to Thomas about, because his folks are missionaries, right? So he used to globetrot.
Who, Westbrook?
Yeah.
Oh, really? His parents are missionaries?
Yeah. So he was a missionary kid, and he was all over the fucking place.
I knew he had traveled a lot. I didn't know it was because of mission.
Yeah.
How fun for him.
Yeah. Anyone that'll jump into a pumpkin suit on one of my podcasts, it's okay in my books.
Oh my god!
Oh, he did.
That's awesome.
He did, because he made that video with it, and then I was like, "You still got it?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Go put it on." He's like, "Okay." And he went and grabbed it, he threw it on. He was doing the whole dance and stuff.
Oh my god! I don't know him very well, so that's amazing. Oh, that's
Thomas
funny.
is great. Great.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I'm sad that we can't be there for the Faithless Forum this year.
I know. Yeah, I think Dave and I would have gone otherwise. Or no,
man.
he was going to go to Europe, but
I was going to be a speaker this year. I would have seen you guys.
Yeah, the world will come back. It'll come back. Everything's going to be mostly okay for most people.
I know. I got my credit from Expedia, because I always book my shit through Expedia, and I got my credit and I'll use it next year to go down. Right?
Yeah. It'll, for those of us who it'll be okay for, it'll be okay.
I'm just sad, because I was looking so forward to it. So
yeah, I know.
What do you do?
You adapt. That's what we do. Or
and we are human beings. That's what we do the best.
Adapt. Yeah. And so I ended up signing up for Youth with a Mission, YWAM. I did one of their schools. It's called Discipleship Training School. It's a 6-month class that is not credited. So just because it's through the University of Nations doesn't mean you get credits. So just keep that in mind if you're considering it.
What a waste of time.
Well,
I mean, scholastically, what a waste of time.
my aim was not scholastic. Let me tell you that. I was looking to gaslight people. So
Welcome to Twitter.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So I moved to a city on the west coast of Mexico called Culiacan.
Yeah.
And it's a few hours from Mazatlan, which most people know where Mazatlan is. Culiacan is not as good as Mazatlan. It is not on the ocean. In fact, 9 of the 10 most wanted people at the time were from that city. So I moved there because I believe in God.
Like a good idea.
I mean, I did what I did.
Faith, I suppose, right?
Yeah. It was an act of faith to prove myself to God. Because you got to prove yourself to your narcissist, you got to perform.
Exactly.
You like me now, Jesus?
I'm sorry, who are you?
I don't know. So I went down there and it was pretty traumatic. YWAM is much more mystical than the Christianity that I grew up in. They espouse miracles and literal miracles that they tell you are accessible, like at your fingertips if you believe. They espouse speaking in tongues. They espouse all of that crazier. I don't know if I want to use the word crazy, but it's just not realistic. Those things don't happen. But they taught me.
Let's carry on. Finish your sentence. Go ahead.
Oh, but I mean, that's what they taught me. There was an entire week of theory called Goals, Dreams, and Visions, where, and I'm going to, every time I talk about this guy, I drop his fucking name because I want it to be known who this guy is. This guy, his name is Paul Benison. And
Google that shit, folks.
I think it's paulbenison.net. He is a traveling miracle working missionary guy that my school paid to fly over from UK to teach for an entire week about goals, dreams, and visions. And so for the 4 days of that week, he's teaching about, goals, dreams, and visions within the Christian context, saying that and telling us stories about miracles that he has performed. Telling us,
be willing to go under the gun for something like that.
Go under the gun?
What I mean is, like, take if he was approached by people saying, "We want to put you to the test, and we're going to use the scientific method." Do you think he'd fall for something like that?
No, of course not. No, God doesn't work that way.
Well,
Even though he did in the Old Testament, he doesn't because it's inconvenient.
What a dick. Anyway,
so he's talking about this for a week, and then on Friday, wait for it.
Oh, we have a review.
They scheduled prophecies.
Hang on. I'm having issues processing that statement.
Take your time.
How do you schedule
with a watch
prophecy?
Yeah. You just send a calendar invite to God. Hey, Jesus, we're going to prophesy over Marie at 3:15. Can you make it?
I think you broke my brain.
I know. But I believed it. I believed it was real. And I was really excited. I believed it. And honestly, I was looking forward to God telling me something about a boy that I liked.
Really? That was the big payoff going to be?
That's what I was bringing. That's what I was bringing to the tarot reading. I mean, prophecy.
The tarot reading.
That's
I have
all it
tarot
is.
cards, eh?
I mean, tarot's great secular. Yeah.
Well, it's fun, right? And the artwork on it, because I have the Aleister Crowley Thoth deck, so it's a really cool artwork on there.
Ooh, nothing wrong with that. Yeah. In our tarot reading called Prophecies, so I was looking forward to God telling me if I should make moves on this guy that I liked.
God was all like, yes!
Go for it, girl.
Now shut down in flames.
And so it's so
Fuck you,
fucking
God.
weird because like it's scheduled and like we go over to this like little corner with these 3 guys from the UK and everyone bows their head and they put their hands on you and they just like start speaking in tongues and then they start taking turns expressing whatever they feel like God is telling them. And so Paul Benison, the main stooge, his prophecy for me was more of like a visual. He's like, I see, you know, those movies where like there's this big ballroom and like these couples are like dancing and they're spinning around and they're doing all these moves. He's like, I feel like that's you and God. God is taking you on this amazing dance and he's going to spin you around and show you the world and he's blah, 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 blah. And at the time I was like, whoa, that's great. I don't know what that means.
It sounds good.
But I've got a prophecy.
I better hone up on my dancing skills there.
Yeah. Then the second guy, his name is Mickey. He was the cute one. He said that he's like something about creative writing. I don't know exactly what it is. It might just be in my own head. I don't know. I just heard you're going to use your creative writing. And I was like, I don't, okay. I don't really write anymore since religion killed me, like my soul and my creativity. But cool. Thanks, Mickey. And then the last guy.
Did he have big black ears? No, not that Mickey.
He was
Never
just
mind.
this small little like guy. I don't know. He was cute. But then
Speaking in tongue things always blows me away because I've asked people to repeat themselves and they can never fucking do it.
No, it's improvisation. You can't repeat it. It's a
Right. It won't come out the same way.
No,
I don't doubt that.
Almost like it's consistent.
Exactly.
So the third guy, what he tells me is like, he was also pretty unsure. He's like, you know, I just don't know if this is coming from God or not, but like, I just keep seeing the word German. Like, I don't know if it's German or like Germany or like, he's like, have you ever traveled to Germany? I'm like, no. He's like, do you speak any German? I'm like, no. I'm like, but I am 50% German. He's like,
oh yeah, see the cold reading technique. Yeah,
He was unsure. To be fair, he was like, I don't really know if this is from God or not. I just hear this word, so just think about it and if it means anything for you. And I was like, cool. And so my scheduled, the agenda had completed itself in our scheduled prophecy. So we closed up the minutes and
scheduled prophecy.
we resolved to end the meeting, and then I went and I talked to my girlfriend who's from the same area as the guy that I have a crush on, and we're like talking about, oh, what did your prophecy say? What did your prophecy say? And she knew I was waiting for a word from God about this guy that I liked, and I told her like what these guys had told me, and I mentioned the German thing, and she's like, Marie, holy shit! I'm like, what? I'm like, she's like, the guy that you like, he comes from Mennonites. Mennonites are German.
I thought you said men in tights for a second.
No. Not manly men. Mennonites.
Mennonite, okay.
So then all of a sudden I was like, oh, God's telling me to go for this guy because German Mennonites. Go date Michael, I guess.
They make good sausage. I'll give them that.
So yeah, my missions was fucked. And a lot of stuff like that happened. A lot, like the gaslighting of my own critical thinking and my doubts became exponentially worse because of the mysticism and the way that they instructed us. Like there was a whole week about how to pray, and it was completely arbitrary. Like,
because you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, like there was like a list of like 11 things that you had to do to pray right, and like I was like, oh shit, I didn't even know that. Like, and so it augmented this sense of I'm fucking up being a child of God. Like it compounded this sense of like I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not informed enough. How am I gonna be able to perform to complete all these requirements. It was overwhelming. Again, no surprise that I have like this perfectionism, not good enough complex now. Thank you, religion and misogyny.
You're good enough. Don't even let
I
that
am. I don't even need to be good. There's not even a good or a bad. We're just apes. There is no morality. But whatever. That's a
We're
tangent.
apes with the ability to speak.
Yeah.
Wait, now I'm having another Star Wars line go through my head. Never mind.
Love the Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I stayed there more or less for 3 years because I came back on staff. And when I came back on staff, it was 9/11 had just happened. And I was scheduled to fly down to Mexico. And about a week before that, 9/11 happens. And I start going through another crisis of faith. And I start thinking, I don't think I believe in God. And here I have this ticket in my hand to Culiacan to be staff. And I'm like, I know. I'm like, what do I do? And I just thought to myself, again, gaslighting, trying to please that narcissist. Like, well, I guess I'll go. Like, if I want to prove to God that I'm serious and I'm really trying to seek him and to know him, I think pushing myself to go anyway, that's going to prove it, right? And so I did. I went as an atheist. I was staff at a mission school in Mexico for 6 months, and it was horrible. And like, it would take a whole nother hour to just even talk about what it's like to be a vulnerable person, spiritually vulnerable in an environment where you are gaslit to the core. And that you are constantly needing to participate in these extreme performances of faith and missions and outreach, but you're in a crisis yourself. It was horrible.
Yeah,
and in the end, I ended up just gaslighting myself into believing again, and just like, it's terrible. I could get into it. It's just so much to unpack, and we have like 20 minutes. So I'll just say it was really bad. It was really, really bad. And luckily, my new crush, Javier, I don't give a fuck anymore. So his name is Javier. And I had a crush on him, and he started dating someone 2 years into what we're doing. And I was like, I don't think God wants me here anymore.
Well, at least Javier doesn't.
I know. And so it was kind of an excuse. And I was just like, I don't think I need to be here. I don't want to be here because my crush is taken. So
that's devastating. I've been there.
Right now I'm like, whatever, it's his autonomy. Like any partner that wants to move on, that's okay. Yeah. I can feel my feelings. So I got really depressed, and my parents offered to fly me home. And I said, no, I would much rather take a 43-hour Greyhound bus so I can just sit in my sadness and despair and grief. And so I took a long ass Greyhound ride back home, which I will never forget because it was the saddest trip I've ever taken. It was terrible. It was just terrible. It was terrible. So I came home and initiated project the next 17 years of my life, which is recovering.
A little wordy. You could have brought that down a little, probably.
Well, project Stay Alive. How about that? Yeah. And so
Project New Perspective.
Yeah. And I got a new job as a bilingual call center agent because, one good thing out of being in missions was that I'm fluent in Spanish now. So there's that. So that's great. Oh. Yeah. So that's, I don't get to use a lot these days, but so I got a bilingual job, and that ended up introducing me to my ex-husband, who was just not a good fit for me. And so we were in 5 years of a terrible marriage that just served to distract me from the religious trauma that I had not yet processed. And during these 5 years, I'm gradually deconverting, moving into more of a progressive Christianity, and then eventually into agnosticism. And by the time we divorced, I was pretty well atheist. And so that was about 2009. And in 2010, I met my new partner, who I'm married to, which is whatever, that's fine. And
It's not
marriage,
whatever. Clearly,
whatever.
you married your partner for a good reason.
Oh, I just don't care about the word marriage anymore. I live with him,
I
and
know,
I
I
enjoy
know.
it. I enjoy him. But I will leave him when it doesn't work anymore, and not have a problem with it. So anyway, that's just a side point. But I met him, and he was a very safe place to land. And so I was in a mildly codependent relationship with him while I was healing up, which I think was appropriate and needed at the time. But eventually I felt safe and motivated enough in about 2016 to really start working on my religious trauma issues. For the time before that, I had been working on an eating disorder, which was just another symptom. It's really another symptom of all that trauma. And so I was getting help for that. And once I had gotten strong enough, I was like, okay, I need to work on this religious trauma shit, because it is just killer. It is killer. And that's when I started reaching out to like podcasts and looking for resources. And one of the first things I came across was Life After God with Ryan Bell. And I found his show to be really great because he wasn't another angry atheist. He was looking for more of a nuanced, gentle discussion about what we had been through. And so he was a safe place to land. And then that led me to Everyone's Agnostic with Cass Midgley, which those stories were incredibly validating and healing to listen to. And then lastly, I came across Secular Sexuality, which at the time was a podcast that was being produced by Dr. Daryl Ray. And I ended up being featured on his show in 2016 under a pseudonym, April, which you can find all the links to this on my websites and stuff. I don't care anymore.
Link to the website below, people.
Yes, everyone's autonomous. And then if you follow the Facebook links, there's a note that you can click on that has all the links of all my speaking engagements, including Secular Sexuality. Oh yeah, get Daryl. He's so much fun. And he's bored right now. I think he is. I don't know.
Well, I'm booked till like almost July now. So
damn, good for you.
Well, I get out there and annoy the shit out of people. Come on my show. Fuck you. No, come on my show. All right, fine.
That's great. That's the way to do it, man. Got onto Secular Sexuality, started talking about my religious related sexual trauma, because the way that religion teaches you about sex is abusive and terrible. And there's a lot to work out there. And so that show became kind of a safe haven for me. I never really understood why Daryl kept on talking about being polyamorous. That seemed really gross to me. And I was like, dude, you're such an old, icky dude. And
Daryl, if you're listening,
he knows. He knows. I've told him that I thought he was a dirty old man. He laughed his fucking ass off. So I was on his show, and it was fantastic. It was intoxicating to tell my story and to be validated for once in my fucking life, to have people understand and to say, yeah, that's not okay. And yes, you are strong. And yes, you can get through this. And then I invited myself on to Everyone's Agnostic. And like, I was so nervous and like, I was terrified. And those were my first two speaking opportunities, and they were terrifying. And I was like, I need some more of that.
Terrifying get addictive, right?
Oh my God.
Right, yeah. And
it's just so empowering. It has been so empowering over these it's just been 4 years, man. Like she was not here 4 years ago. She was someone entirely different who would not feel confident to talk to you, to be here with our 33 people watching and commenting. She was so fragile and scared, understandably so. And over these last 4 years of graciously being allowed to share my story on different platforms and to be listened to and heard and supported and to being welcomed into these communities of people who are recovering has changed my life so much. And I've always felt really self-conscious about how much religion traumatized me, that it here we are, like 17 years later, and it's still right here. It's right here. And
some stuff sticks with you.
Yeah. And I've always felt like that's my fault. Like, yes, they traumatized me. And it feels like maybe after 17 years, you should kind of be like, okay, Marie, but it is what it is. And so it turns out that I'm extremely passionate about the theme of religious trauma, recovering from it, and then how to assimilate into being a human being. Because there's so many stories about deconversion, which are so important to share. And I think there's less discussion about like, hey, you know how you just realized that you're human? What are we going to do with that? Like, it turns out the earth actually is your home. It turns out that it is your only home. It turns out that there's a lot of stuff going on on this planet that's hurting a lot of people, and no one is in charge. Like, there is no God that's watching over this, that you can just sit back and be like, God's in charge. He's not.
No,
it's us. And so
take the wheel back, people.
Right. And so it propels me to get involved and to be a strong ally and advocate, especially for those of us who are recovering from religion, and our worlds were so small and we're so protective of ourselves. And it's really, really scary to open up and see the whole planet. It's so scary because we were in a bunker.
You're not used to it, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I needed those 17 years to just kind of like hide out a little bit. And now I'm done. I'm done, and I'm setting everything on fire because we've got a mess here on this planet, and there's no God that's in charge of it. It's just us. Yeah, burn it down. Oh, I got mine too. Where is it?
Woo! Oh, yours is like, you got the barbecue lighter.
Yeah. Oh,
mine's an old school Zippo. Sorry, it's got a cool.
Yours is cooler.
So.
Yours is much cooler.
And somebody in the chat mentioned gummy stuff earlier, and I still have my one gummy worm edible. So.
Ooh, I had 2 of those yesterday.
Oh my God, those are 100 mils. 100 milligrams.
What?
Yeah. So I had snap it in half and eat 50 mils, and I'm good. I ate a whole one the other day on a podcast. Oh yeah, I ate a whole one the other day, 100 milligrams, on one of these podcasts. And by 2:30 in the morning, because it ended up going that late, I was just a fucking wreck. I'm like, yeah, you got to bring this to a close.
Oh my God, you have a really high tolerance.
Well, I live in BC.
I mean, I smoke every day, but I'm not. I'm doing like 10 to 15.
Yeah, me too.
What? Ooh, jelly.
A little Yeti pop top can where it's all hidden in there. And
nice.
Yeah. And now the cops know. It's okay. It's legal here. So
not
it's
illegal. So
nope.
How lucky for you.
Yeah.
So
anyways, a sidetrack again. Carry on.
I accept you as you are. So so that's kind of where I've gotten to now, and I am addicted to this, to telling our stories, to validating the experiences of people, to help them discover what it means to have autonomy, because that's something that we struggle with as a culture, and that we struggle deconstructing if we come out of religion or any other theme that squashed our autonomy. I think autonomy is like, I don't need a Bible. I need the word autonomy, and then that guides all of my ethics about how I engage with the world. And I've had a lot of people challenge me, be like, what about the collective? And I'm like, well, the collective works within the structure of autonomy, because if I'm autonomous because I'm a human being and because I'm alive, basic, logic says, therefore, if you are human and alive, you have autonomy. So, okay, so if I'm human and alive and I have autonomy, then that means everyone else that's human and alive has autonomy. So if I want my autonomy to be upheld, then I'm just saying, like, it's all part. Autonomous people supporting autonomous people is the collective.
Yeah.
And so
it's up to you to be autonomous, right?
Exactly. I can be autonomous.
Set those boundaries.
Right. And by being concerned about other people's autonomy and whether people are getting food to eat and whether they're being judged because of their race or that kind of thing, that matters to me because I believe in my autonomy and my worth, and therefore I believe in everyone else's autonomy and worth, and therefore it matters to me that these injustices are happening. So it matters to me to talk about them, to fight against them, and to have those conversations because I am autonomous. So are all of us. And there is no God. And so we are the ones that are here.
Yep.
And,
no one has rights over you but you.
Yep. I mean, that's ideally. Many, many human beings have lived in a structure that did not reflect that value at all because
I know.
terrible, terrible apes, for sure. But it's an ideal that I strive towards anyways, to pursue autonomy and in that way, like being okay when you're wrong, being okay when you're called out, just holding very loosely to your identity because you're just an ape. You're just an ape. And we need to take a deep breath and remember that.
Exactly. Your, I'm going to say it again, your podcast, as I've listened to a few of the episodes, well, more than a few, probably about 6, I think. Just the way you think of these things and the way you discuss this kind of a topic is really well done, I think.
Thank you. It's trippy because I'm just trying to be myself and make sense of this and handle my trauma. And then all of a sudden I start talking and people are like, whoa. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this.
Accept it because we're just giving you the accolades and the kudos that you deserve, Marie.
It's hard. It's hard. I hear what you're saying and I super value that people are saying it. And it's it's very difficult to integrate that into myself.
I know. I've been, when I first started doing YouTube way back in the day, when it basically first started up, 2007-ish, I didn't get really active until about 2010, and it was a gaming channel. And I would go to these meets or conventions or these giant gaming conventions, and kids would be coming up to me asking me to sign their cards and stuff like that. And I was like, well, this is fucking trippy because I don't know what to do with that, right?
Yeah.
So it was really cool, but really bizarre at the same time.
Yeah.
I kind of had that kind of little feeling of minor celebrity, which was kind of neat.
It feels weird, but at the same time, it's helped me deconstruct bigger celebrity. Right. You know, like everybody poops. Like,
good book.
Everyone's pooping. Trump is pooping. Conan O'Brien is pooping. They're all having bad days. They're all grumpy. You know, there is no celebrity.
You had to put that visual in my head, didn't you? Trump pooping.
I mean, it helps to know that we're all just human. It helps.
True. That's right. That's right. And if you think about it on a cosmic scale, folks, we are here for less than a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
So make the best of that blink that you can.
Yeah.
Well, Marie, we're just about at the hour. Is there anything else you wanted to get out, or maybe something I may have forgotten you want to shill out or something?
Well, wow. Where do I start? I have so many feelings about so many things. And so.
Well, we are doing an after party, so we could save some of that for that, right? We could chat with others too.
I'll just plug myself real quick. I guess that's probably
more what I mean. Like shill out the stuff shill the goods, lady. Shill the goods.
Okay, I understand the word shill now. Now I turned the comments back on, and I'm seeing Kristen's comment about pooping mutant and proud. Love it. So yeah,
that's her mutant ability. She poops really.
So I'm a podcaster. Everyone's autonomous is where I talk about deconversion stories, but then the after party of like, hey, you're an ape. Now what? Now what are we gonna do? Like, let's push ourselves harder. Let's deconstruct more. You deconstructed faith. Now let's deconstruct more. Misogyny, racism, systemic bullshit. Like. So check out my podcast, everyone'sautonomous.com. I'm on all the media platforms. If you want to follow, I post stuff every day. I also do ethical non-monogamy coaching. I'm really good at what I do. Nope, not trying to be humble. Incredibly good at what I do. So if you want to check me out, my information there, which Neil, you had looked at it and referenced it earlier, is mariedelafont.com is my information around the coaching. Other than that, I have a photography company, but it's not really like it's here in Minnesota. So if you want to follow my work, it's a very humanist. I try to use my photography in a humanist way in so much as you can with that kind of art. I'm trying to find ways to connect people. And so I'm kind of doing if anyone has ever followed a Humans of New York account on Instagram, I'm kind of doing something like that. And my business is called Marquee, MARKEI. And so I'm on all platforms too. So I think that's most of the big stuff I do. If you want to learn more about Dave Warnock, we're on Dave Warnock, or not Dave, we're on daveoutloud.com. And hopefully COVID passes for many, many reasons, but for one of those reasons so that Dave and I can get out there again.
Yeah. Because like I said earlier, I really wanted to meet you guys when this whole thing was coming up here, right? Well, we just have to wait. Everything's been put on the back burner, and that's fine because better safe than sorry.
Yep.
Right. So.
Yep. I mean, we could be dead right now, not just from COVID-19. Anything could have happened. The fact that we're still alive, I'm grateful. I'm happy I'm here.
Yep. Could have been an asteroid. Could have been an even worse plague. Could have been. I could have been hit by a bus on the way. Well, no, I was in a car, so probably wouldn't have been killed.
You still could have been hit by a bus.
Yeah, true, but my car would have been fucked up more than I would have been. But anyway, well, that's it, man. Let's get into an after party. And now you can run down and grab a couple of drinks and let loose. Not that that's
because I was so pretentious and uptight this whole time.
I was just gonna say, but not that that's necessary. But but thank you, Marie, so much for joining me today, man. This has been a blast chatting with you and getting here.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here.
And if you've ever need like a guest in an emergency on your podcast, let me know, man.
I want to start doing a live YouTube channel where we take phone calls and give advice, like not like the atheist experience, except with feelings.
Well, that's what my friend Randolph and I are going to do too. Called Northern. What the hell? I can't even remember. Anyway, it's something with the word truth in it. I can't even remember right now because my brain's all over the place. See, there it goes right now. No. Hey, get back here. I need you. Anyway, something about that. It's kind of like a playoff sort of other things. But we're going to do a call-in show just like that too. But hey, I'd co-host with you if you want to do that one time. Fuck yeah.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I love it.
All right. So anyways, anyone who would like to be involved in the after party, please let me know via Twitter or Facebook if you don't follow me on Twitter, and I'll get you a link. Now, remember, guys, the room can get full pretty quick because there's myself and Marie, and then we have room for 4 more people. And I'm inundated with people who want to come in. So be prepared to swap in and out if that's the case. And also, thank you guys for hanging out with us. I hope you guys enjoyed the show as much as we did.
Sorry, I couldn't see any of the comments. I was so focused on telling my story. So I'm sorry if I missed any questions.
They'll forgive you, I'm sure.
I just wanted to acknowledge it. They go through the effort of writing the comment, Fair
enough. All right. So guys, remember, it's during this time that we're going through all this crap. Be well, be safe, and above all, be kind. And like I always say at the end of these things, like the late great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.